Good morning, everyone. My name is Dan Sheehan. I'm the Director of Client Services, and I'm going to be handling a brief 45-minute technology overview for all of you. If I could ask, it was a little bit easier last session because everyone was in Smith. Could I ask one of the OLs just to, in the Q&A, just say, yes, we can hear you, just so I make sure that I'm not really talking to the Ethernet. Perfect. Thank you very much. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, like I said, my name's Dan Sheehan. I'm gonna take you through a little bit of a technology overview. There's a lot here, and so you're not expected to remember everything. I'm just going to provide you with some. Really going to spend about 25 minutes or a half hour on resources, and then talk about support and talk about hardware support. So we're gonna walk through that this morning, and then we're going to open it up for about 10 or 15 minutes at the end for questions. So if you have questions, I am floating back so you can see me a little bit better between the center of the room and the podium where the presentation is. So I may not see the questions, but we did it the last session. It was really great to have the questions pop up at the end. I repeat the question and then I can make that answer. Like I said, my name is Dan Sheehan, and I'm the Director of Client Services. I manage a department on campus that handles the help desk, whether it be walk-up or the call center or any type of remote service. I have a field support team. They're called tech services. They actually go out around campus. They'll work with faculty and staff on their computers. They maintain the PCs in the classrooms. They maintain the PCs in the library and also on all the labs on campus. And then any PCs that are in conference room spaces or available to adjunct faculty in different areas on campus, we call those shared spaces. They'll maintain the computers in that area. My group is also responsible for account management. So the emails you saw over the summer, after you paid your deposit to set up your email, the licensing that goes behind that, the support about setting up your email, multi-factor authentication, all those things that are tied to your account, and then all the things that relate to connecting to systems on campus, we manage the account piece, okay? And so we work with a lot of other departments on campus to manage that. I want to take a minute, and I just want to say thank you for coming to Bentley. Thank you for showing up and moving in yesterday. My team and many of our IT team, along with our facilities teams on campus, have been here since the pandemic started. So we were still coming to work every day while most folks were remote. It gets a little lonely here when there are no students. So it was great to see how vibrant it was yesterday, how great it was to have everyone here on campus, walking around. Granted, we still have a few restrictions for the pandemic, but I do think that over the course of the semester, with your work over the summer, and vaccinations and everything that's going on around campus, I think it's going to be great. I'm also excited. I teach IT 101. So I taught IT 101 in the fall. In the spring, it was for the most part, I taught CS 150. For the most part, it was remote. And then I taught a class in the summer. I usually don't teach in the summer, and I usually don't teach in the spring. But because of the remote work and different needs of the campus, I taught an additional 2 classes. But I teach IT 101 every fall. I love to meet the new students and work through that first semester with them. The other exciting thing about being on campus right now is that we have a new president. President Cricht is fantastic. Just a little aside note, he, on his second day, on June 2nd, he walked around campus and walked into offices where people were working, people who were here on campus. It was great to see him. He asked a lot of questions. He thanked everyone for being here, providing support, but he's a great guy. We've been in a few meetings with him. He has a lot of big plans for Bentley. I think you're coming at a perfect time. I think you're going to see some changes while you're here. I think they're going to be great changes. And I think if you see him on campus, please say hello. He's a very social guy. He'll probably ask you a question or two. He likes to learn. He likes to ask questions. So please get to know him if you can. I think he's fantastic. And one of the things that I've learned in the 1 or 2 meetings I've been in with him is he likes to think of Bentley moving forward as the things that Bentley must win to be successful. So today, taking a little page out of his playbook, and I'm going to talk about must-wins from a technology perspective for you. So what we're going to talk about today, the first must-win is you have to know your resources. What's available to you? What you have access to? It's not good enough to say, I didn't know, okay? Know what's there, okay? And then the second must-win is maintain your tool, okay? It's maintaining your computer. This is your lifeline to all your work, okay? You probably know this better than any other student at Bentley because you just lived an entire year, perhaps, going to school remote, and now you're coming here and you know how important it is to have this computer. You know how it's tied you to your coursework, okay? And then the third must-win is technology is going to break. Something's going to happen, okay? It'll freeze, all right? You'll have a spill on it. Something will happen to your computer. So you have to know where to get support. And Bentley provides all the support you need. We're not going to tell students to go off campus to get their support. When we get to must-win number 3, there might be a couple of exceptions to that, but typically we do a lot of this work on campus. So you don't have to leave campus. You don't have to have a car. You don't have to ship it off to a manufacturer. It's one of the things that we've done here to make sure that you can focus on learning. You can focus on having a computer at your disposal. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A at the end. Okay, that's what we're going to do at the end. So I'm going to get started here. And know your resources. I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about resources, okay? And it's important to understand your resources. One of the things that we did last year, and we continued it this year, is we have these door hangers that everyone should have in a dorm room. There was one per room. And when you get to, and for the upperclassmen, if they have multiple rooms in a suite, basically they got 2 or 3, depending on how many rooms there are. This door hanger has all the quick hits, sort of the favorite hits, if you will, of IT and the things that you might need. It links out to our service portal, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but it's a really good tool. We're actually going to be at the Academic Resources Fair. That's going to be on the library quad later this afternoon at 2 o'clock. We'll have these there if you want one on your, if you don't want to share it with your roommate, not because you don't like it, if you just want to have it with you. Or have it on your desk or tape it to your desk so you have these resources available to you. We're also going to be handing out water bottles. So if you want to stop by, please stop by. We have one for everyone. So please stop by there. You'll also notice at that fair, our help desk is staffed. We have a student model. And so we have a lot. We hire somewhere between 20 and 30 students a year. So we'll have some students there. They work that front desk, so they're sort of that tier 1 support. They're that support that allows students to come in, and we learn a lot from the students. We learn that, okay, this isn't working very well, that isn't working very well. We have a great relationship with our students. They tend to stick with us for 3 or 4 years, depending on when they're hired. We're still looking for 10 people, so if you're interested in working in client services, you don't have to have a ton of IT experience. You just have to be a good listener. You have to be able to look things up, and you have to be willing to be trained a little bit. So it's a nice way to make some extra pocket money for some food, perhaps, when you want it. And so if you're interested, go. But we rely on our students. This past year, last year, 14 of our work study students graduated. Okay, and all but 2 of them were with us for 4 years. So it's a really good environment. We get to know our students pretty well, and we take care of them pretty well. Flexible schedules, we work with you. We know it's not your first priority. So it's a great place to work if you're interested. So let's start off with your accounts, okay? So once you paid your deposit, at some point you were sent an email to set up your email account, okay? And your email account has an @falcon.bentley.edu appended to it, and then it has your sort of your name. So the D Sheehan @falcon.bentley.edu or D Sheehan @bentley.edu. That's your network credential for almost everything on campus. That's going to get you into almost all resources, whether they're on campus or they're on the web. Okay. And I've highlighted and I've italicized and underlined D Sheehan because that part before the @ symbol is called your short name. Okay. So the resources on campus, most of them use your full email. Some use a short name. Okay. And there's one resource on campus. It's the work order system for facilities. So if your AC is not working or a light goes out or you're having some trouble in your room, there's a work order system on the facilities website. That's where you would log in using your Bentley ID number without the B. So it'll start with a 1 for the most part, okay? There may be some students here that start with a 0, but for most of you that are on this webinar today, it'll start with a 1. That's the only exception, okay? And then the other exception, that's the only exception from an enterprise perspective. In your courses, faculty may introduce you to applications that may provide you with a username and password for software for that course because they work specifically with that vendor. But that's coursework, okay? Multi-factor authentication. I want to talk a little bit about this two-factor authentication. You all know it as Duo. Many of you have the app on your phone. If not an app, you're getting a text or a phone call to do it. It's two-factor authentication. It's very important. It's required here at Bentley. It's that other way of securing your account, okay? So one of the most important things that we try and secure on campus is Workday. Workday is where you register for courses, using a couple other apps as well, but it's where you register for courses. It's where your personal information lives, okay? So it is our student information system and our faculty and staff information system. So it has my information, your information, faculty members' information. So we protect that along with other applications with two-factor authentication with Duo. I want to mention it because in a couple of weeks, we've been working on a project for the past 6 months. We're transitioning away from Duo into Microsoft multi-factor authentication. We've transitioned all of our faculty, all of our staff, and all of the continuing students at Bentley, all right? You're the next and last group to transition. We did not want to do it in the summer, right? We know people have different schedules. We did not want to introduce a change that could have caused some frustration, could have caused some problems accessing different applications. People were all over the world. And so it was from a support perspective, we're going to wait until after you get a couple of weeks of classes under your belt, you get a little comfortable, and then we're going to transition you. It's gone very well, right? We've transitioned just over 5,000 people, and we have a 1% call rate, which means we have very, very few people calling and having issues, or it's not that they're having an issue, but they want to set it up a different way. The other reason I want to mention multi-factor authentication is we have a group of international students with us who traveled far and wide to get here. In a couple of years, some of you may be willing to, maybe wanting to study abroad. So when you may be changing phones and changing platforms, we're going to be working with the Education Abroad Office and the Center for International Students and Scholars. There's some tips and tricks there for when you're transitioning new phones. There's a nice, easy way that's accessible to you right now to put in an alternate phone number so that when you get into another environment, into another country, and you go to log in, it's going to go to your first authentication method, which is probably, for many students, it was either their international phone over the summer, or it was their US phone when they got to Italy, for example, last week. You can just click on a button that says log in another way, and it can call that phone if that number's in there, okay? So there's some tips and tricks to do that you can maintain. We're going to share those with CISS and Education Abroad, but we'll also share them with the broader community. It's also helpful for when you get a new phone. You know, if you get a new phone, how do I connect a new phone to multi-factor authentication? So I wanted to mention that. It was an important step for Bentley several years ago to move to multi-factor authentication. We had a fairly significant phishing attack, and that's phishing with a PH, where someone, some nefarious actor sent an email to our staff, and one of our staff members gave up their credentials. We didn't have two-factor authentication. The bad actors actually went in and created a bank account in this person's name, and got loans and money, and it really created a whole mess. And shortly thereafter, we implemented two-factor authentication. So it is a huge security measure. It has stopped all of that terrible behavior. So it's something that I know it can be a nuisance at times, but it is necessary to keep our accounts safe and to keep your data and information safe. I want to talk about Wi-Fi. Okay, so you all came on campus yesterday. Usually you're connecting your phones to Wi-Fi. Your parents are trying to connect to Wi-Fi. So you're hearing things from people, EDU Roam, Bentley Guest, B device. What are they? What do they do? I want to take a few minutes to talk about those. EDU Roam, okay? That's an SSID on campus that you'll see pop up on your phone or your computer for Wi-Fi. That's the secure wireless environment on campus, okay? That gets you into all of the resources. If you want to print on campus, you have to be connected to EDU Roam, okay? Then we have, and to log into and to set up EDU Roam, you're setting that up using your full Bentley email address and your email password, okay? So again, it's your network credential, what you're using to log into email, you're going to use to log into these resources, and you set it up. If you're going to set something up and you have a pop-up and you're not quite sure what answer to put in, you can call the help desk, right? They'll tell you what to put in for that, but it's usually pretty easy to set up. It sets up once you log in, and then you're connected, and it stays connected, okay? We have what we consider to be as close to ubiquitous wireless on campus that's possible. What that means is in sort of the campus proper areas, not so much the parking lots on the outer edges of campus, like the parking lots between Bentley and over near La Cava, between Bentley and the Girl Scout camp and North Campus, which means when you walk from place to place, your Wi-Fi is going to be connected through different access points, but you're not going to lose it. You may see sort of bars dropping, but then they'll pick up another access point and stay connected. Typically speaking, when you settle into a spot, that's where your Wi-Fi is going to be best. When you're walking, I walked up from the data center last night all the way up to my office in the library. And as I was walking, I was just, I was answering some emails and whatnot. I did see the Wi-Fi sort of fluctuate in and out. I was always connected, but it fluctuated in and out in terms of strength. And that's going to happen when you're walking because it's the nature of Wi-Fi. Okay, you're connecting to one environment, you're connecting to one access point, and then it's being released and connecting to another based on strength. Okay, so just understand that. I had a question in the last session about, I just want to talk about it here. Can I put a Wi-Fi booster in my room? You shouldn't need it, and the answer is probably not. Okay, we tend to block that traffic when we see that, just because we don't know what that device is. But if you're having a problem with Wi-Fi in your dorm room, all right, send an email to the help desk. It's helpdesk@bentley.edu. Send an email, say, my Wi-Fi is not very good in my dorm room. Our network services team has gone through the buildings, has checked Wi-Fi. We have a vendor come in and do that checking for us as well. They do the best they can, but every once in a while, could be where you're set up, could be you're in a nook somewhere. And what they'll do is they'll either replace the access point, add a new access point, or fix whatever's not working. But I think you have to tell us, okay? So typically what you'll hear is someone, every once in a while, especially at the help desk, will hear, the Wi-Fi is not working at Bentley. Well, we need to know three things. We need to know how you're connecting, where you're connecting, and what type of problem it is. Are you not connecting at all? Is it few bars? What does that mean? And were you walking? So we're going to ask some questions. And we do that because sometimes Wi-Fi, it's about proximity and timing. Where are you? What are you using? And how does it work? And every once in a while, we'll find a spot. When you're in between two buildings, two brick buildings, Wi-Fi is not going to be that great. But you step out of that area. So like when you're walking through up the stairs near Falcone, for example, you're coming from the quad near the bookstore and you're walking to upper campus through those stairs. We've got Wi-Fi places in there. We've got them in the lights and things like that. But you are going to see a little bit of different performance. So just let us know. All right. If you're having trouble, let us know. All right. We don't want people to share their usernames and passwords. We don't want you connecting your parents or your friends to EDU Roam, okay, using your credentials, okay? What we want you to do is to use Bentley Guest, right? It's very easy. You click on the SSID, Bentley-Guest, right? It connects automatically. If it's the first time the user's ever used it, it's going to ask them to check a terms and conditions box. You check the box, you click OK, and you're done. And you're connected to Wi-Fi, all right? And I know I was telling parents and families, this is how you connect to Wi-Fi. This is how you connect to Wi-Fi, right? So that's something, Bentley Guest is important, okay? There are resources like printing on campus that is not available when you're on Bentley Guest. So if printing's not working for you and you're connected to Wi-Fi, check your Wi-Fi, call the help desk. We can help you there with that. And then we have, and I put here entertainment, which for whatever reason, there we go. Working off of two screens, so I apologize for that. So now we're working, so printing on campus. You don't need a printer. If you brought a printer, you can certainly use it, but you don't have to, okay? And what we want to know about printing, is you have to set it up. It's called Falcon Print or Falcon Color, black and white or color, okay? We have printers in Jenison, we have printers in Smith, we have one printer in Adamian, we have a bunch of printers in the library, and so we keep them publicly available so you can walk into the buildings and use the printers. You submit the print job, you swipe your ID card, and it will come off of that $40 quota. It's like Monopoly money, it's not transferable, you don't get a refund at the end of the year. We add $40 every semester, okay? And it's printing that's available for you, so consider it free printing up to a certain amount, call it quota if you will, okay? So we'll do the printing. If you want to set up your printers, okay, these door hangers have the links to the knowledge base articles that tell you how to set it up. Either if you have a Mac or a Windows machine, doesn't matter, okay? So printing can be done on campus. What we're finding is fewer and fewer students and fewer faculty are looking for papers to be handed in, okay? So, but we're gonna keep the $40 there. It's more than enough. If you run out, you can put money on your Falcon card and it can be used for printing, so it'll fault over. When there's $0 in there, it'll fault over. The one thing we don't want you doing is printing out books. Okay, so if you bought an electronic book, don't print out chapter. Maybe you have to print out a page, that's fine. But printing hundreds and hundreds of pages will exhaust that $40. Okay, it's really for papers. Okay, defaults to double-sided. If you need it single-sided, you change all sorts of different things there for printing. I want to take a moment. We don't support it, but library databases are a critical IT resource on campus. You know, when you did a tour in the library, you'll notice we have lots of books and periodicals. Okay. But comparable to some schools our size, we don't have as many books and periodicals. We spend our money on electronic resources, right? We have one of the largest, for a school our size, one of the largest electronic resources available for students, for studying, databases, different things available. You get free subscription to the New York Times if you want it. So the library databases are valuable. Faculty will tell you what you need to use. And we have a great research staff at the library that help you use them. If you're trying to do a search and you can't find something, they're great at helping out with resources like that. But that's a technical resource, and I wanted to mention it because it's often goes overlooked by students. It's like, I need to go find it, so I'm using Google, okay? Always ask your faculty member, is there something in the library databases where I can do some research on this particular issue? Whether it be finance, accountancy, economics, IDCC, I'm going to miss a bunch of majors, but management. There's lots of articles that the departments have curated in conjunction with the library to make available to students. And they change every year. The library monitors usage, departments monitor usage. And if they're not using it anymore, they'll take that money they're spending and they'll allocate it to something else. So we do keep it up to date and keep it refreshed every year. For our Mac users, I want to take a minute and talk about our Mac users. We'll have two conversations about Macs. Bentley tends to be a Windows-based school. All but 75 of our faculty and staff use a Mac. So we only have 75 Mac users in our faculty and staff environment. We have a Mac lab. We have access to the Mac tools. But what you'll find is, especially, I mentioned I teach IT 101. Many of the faculty members in IT 101 want the students to use Microsoft Excel, which is about half the class. They want to use Microsoft Excel in a Windows environment. So what we've done, we piloted it last spring. It's now in full production now. You'll see on your screen here, Bentley Virtual Apps, okay, called BVA. We put Excel in there, and we've put another, there's another 9 or 10 apps that are available for students to use as part of their classes. And it was really designed to provide an environment for Mac users to use what is traditionally Windows-based software. Or when you get up into some of the upper level finance classes, there are some features in Excel on a Windows machine that are different than Excel on the Mac or Excel for the Mac. So the faculty have asked us to build it. We've put it in place. It's been tested. It works really well. If you're taking IT 101 this semester, most of the faculty that teach IT 101 will tell you should be using Excel in the BVA environment, okay? If you're in my class, and there are a couple others, we tend to work in both platforms, and so I let the students pick, okay? There are slight differences in some of the assignments, but I make adjustments for those so that everyone's getting the same work, everyone's doing the same work, but there are, different things, different keystrokes. So if you're a Mac user, have no fear, the environment's available in BVA. However, that being said, fast forward to your junior year, at some point you're going to take GB 310. If the course is still the same, when you take it as a junior, they use a piece of software called Process Model. We cannot put that for licensing reasons into that Bentley virtual environments, Bentley virtual application environment, okay? What we have to do is we provide VMware Fusion. We have an educational license to provide, we pay for it to provide students with VMware Fusion. And currently, it only works with some of the older, I'm gonna say Intel-based Macs. For Mac users, they came out with a new chip last year, I believe. It's an M1 chip. VMware Fusion does not have a tool for that. Okay, so what you'd have to do is use Parallels. We have the documentation to it. Parallels does not provide educational institutions with a site license that we could purchase and distribute. They have a fee-based service. They offer half price to students. It's $40 for a year. And that would be the way that you download Parallels onto your computer. You download Windows on the computer. We support that environment for you. We can help you install it. We can help you get access to the software, but it is something for those M1 Macs at this point in time. I do think VMware Fusion is going to come out with a solution at some point. You'll have to purchase it. Don't go out and buy it now, okay? The only course I'm aware of in the first year curriculum that requires Mac students to use a Windows-based software, it's Excel for Windows, and it's available online through that BVA environment, okay? So don't worry about that until you have to, okay? I want to talk about Blackboard. Blackboard is the learning management system on campus. It's what faculty use and really leverage during the pandemic. So the course, it'll have your assignments. You may be taking quizzes. You may be doing attendance through it. It is the way that faculty members run their class. They do their assessments there. They post their assessment grades there. Between now and Tuesday, before classes start, at least log into Blackboard just to make sure you can log in, okay? The syllabus will be there, okay? If the class is available. That's the piece I want to mention about Blackboard. If you go out to Blackboard and one or two of your courses are not there, that's okay, okay? As long as you're registered in the Workday environment for the course and the faculty member is going to use Blackboard, they have to open up and make the course available. So as an example, right? I don't turn on my class until the first day of class, which is Tuesday for my class. So if students were to go out and look, if you happen to have me in class and you go out and look in Blackboard, you will not see IT 101 section 11. You won't see it, okay? I haven't made it available. I don't think we're going to talk about the syllabus. So some faculty do it differently. You don't have an assignment for class. So if you don't see it on Blackboard and you haven't gotten an email from the faculty member, you have no work to do in that class until they tell you, right? So don't panic, right? I know there are people out there that want to get everything squared away and everything set up, but understand that you're working with faculty members. They have a method to their madness. That's what I call it. And they work through the classes a different way. So you're going to find faculty members doing different things. Some will use Blackboard and be very regimented. I tend not to be regimented. I have all my assignments out there, but I tend to jump around depending on what's going on. It's an IT class. So if there's something going on in the world that's related to IT and I can move a section from here to there and cover it while I have something really interesting to talk about, that's what I'll do. That's not most classes though. And the last thing I want to mention is My Bentley. It's my.bentley.edu. That's the link that you'll see on the site, on the right-hand side rather of the screen. A lot of the resources I talked about, Blackboard, Workday, the work order system, there's others that we're not going to talk about today, LinkedIn Learning, the Career Edge, those things for career services. They're all in that on that My Bentley page, my.bentley.edu, sort of the clearinghouse for all the resources that you need on campus, all the access you're getting to online services. Office 365 is there as well. Okay, so you can go out to my.bentley.edu, you can make it your homepage. You can access Blackboard from there. You can access Office 365 from there. You can access a lot of different things right from that page. That's a very useful page. Also want to take a minute to talk about Office 365. What I tend to find is that most of you spent your high school careers and other careers using Google Docs, okay? Google Apps for education. Bentley is an Office 365 school. You have access to all the apps, which are right there on the right-hand side. You have access to all the apps. These are all web-based apps for right now. Word, PowerPoint, Excel, they have web-based apps. You access it through portal.office.com. You've already been there. When you set up your email account, you've already been to that environment, but it's a clearinghouse. That's where you access OneDrive. That's where you access all those. If you don't have the Office applications on your devices, you can, through the portal, install those locally. So you can use and license Office products on your computer. If you have older versions, you can remove those and add the Bentley versions, okay? They're helpful for class, okay? Much like Google Docs, there's real-time sharing on some of the applications, like Word, like PowerPoint, not so much in Excel because of the formulas and any macros that are there. So it's usually a checkout, check-in system for Excel. We also use OneDrive. You have a terabyte of space. You have a ton of space, okay? It's yours to use as you're choosing. But I strongly recommend that you use OneDrive for all your papers, for all your work for classes, anything, whether if it's Bentley information, use OneDrive. Because if your computer breaks and you have to take it in for support and we give you a loaner, the way you're going to access your data is through OneDrive. You don't have to worry about copying the data, moving it over to a new machine, putting it on a flash drive. I can't find this, I can't find that. You can access your email, you can access your files if you put it all into Office 365. Use the email, use OneDrive, and use the other tools there. And then the last thing I want to mention is Microsoft Teams. Teams is a collaboration tool that allows you to talk to individuals, to set up meetings for group projects, to have those meetings via video conferencing. So we're sitting on Zoom today, but Teams has the same functionality. I use Teams in IT 101, and I use Teams in the CS 150 classes I taught last semester in the summer and in the spring. It's very helpful for groups because it provides a one-stop shop for documentation storage that everyone can access. So so one person becomes the owner, you add everyone else, you make everyone owners, you can store all your documents for the team in there, all your work in there, you can communicate through there, you can set up meetings, you can have video conferences, you can do a lot of different things through Teams. So in the event that you end up having a partner in a group who can't be on Bentley right now, who can't be at Bentley right now because for whatever reason it may be, that person can still be part of the group in a video conference. You don't have to use and Zoom is fine, perfectly good tool to use. I like Teams because you can go and access all those files for the group. People can be working on different files. It also has an interesting tool called Planner. So if you have a group that really wants to lay out all the work that you have to do in a project, you can use something called Planner. You can assign the tasks to different people. Those tasks send reminders. So it's a really great tool to use. It's something that we use in my office. It's something a lot of departments, most departments use on campus. And when the pandemic hit, way back two Marches ago, it was one of those things where we did online trainings for teams so departments could still communicate and collaborate. So Office 365 is a really great tool. I encourage you to use it where it fits. Must win number 2, maintain your tool, okay? And again, I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time here, but I do just wanna mention a couple things, okay? You gotta manage your updates. Updates are critical, they're very important, okay? They're very important. There are telltale signs that you're having a problem. You'll see that on the images on the screen. Your display's not working. You get the blue screen with a sad face, or you've got some damage to it. Maybe it'd be water damage, okay? You wanna get that fixed. You wanna bring that to the help desk, okay? You wanna maintain your tool. This is your lifeline to a lot of different things. Your phone is really your lifeline, but your computer is your lifeline to your academic work. So you really wanna make this the tool that you use on a regular basis and look at the signs, okay? Address problems, don't wait, okay? Little things turn into big things. It's kind of like your car, right? If you have a car, if your parents have a car, the check engine light comes on. Eventually that check engine light's gonna catch up to you, okay? So you wanna maintain your tool, look at the clues. The other thing you wanna know about is when are your midterms and when are your finals? Because the worst thing to happen, and it happens often, we see it all the time, is when students walk into the help desk and say, I have a midterm in an hour, my computer's not working, can you help? Maybe, maybe not, we don't know. We don't know what's wrong, right? Or if you spill something on your computer, especially if it's something, If it's water, we want to know. But if it's juice, like orange juice or apple juice, stuff that gets sticky, that can get in the keyboard. It may seem fine to you. And then a month from now, all of a sudden, your keyboard doesn't work, okay? So make sure you're looking at the clues. Make sure you do a little proactive work with your updates and make sure you do a little preventative work if something happens and you want to get it looked at. If you have a cracked screen, bring it in. If you have warranty, we'll fix it. We're going to talk about that next, okay, when we talk about hardware support. So know your schedules, like know what's coming up. Then the must-win number 3 is know how to get support, okay? And here's the thing, right? You've got your computer and you've got all these resources I just talked about. How do you manage this when there's a problem, okay? We tend to work, as a result of the pandemic, we tend to work in a self-help mode first, look it up yourself. Then we move to call us or email us, and we can work on, and then we can work with you, and we'll do remote support. And if we have to if it's a computer problem and you have to bring it in, okay? If something happens and you have to bring it in, we'll set up an appointment or we'll tell you to bring it in, all right? That was not intended. But apropos, if something were to happen to the computer, you drop it, okay? You want to bring it to the help desk, and you want to check it in, and you want to make sure that things aren't broken like they are now. And you want to just make sure that things work, okay? You don't go to self-help when your computer breaks. You bring it to the help desk, okay? So this notion of self-help, we know that you're a generation, you're a group of students that like to just search online for an answer, okay? That's very important, okay? And so we have this service portal that is great. You can type in, we have thousands of knowledge base articles that help you get the answers you need. But when you can't find the answer you need, that's when you're going to call or email us. Email is great. Okay, we're not open 24/7, but we are open 7 days a week. We close around 8 o'clock during the week. We're open till 6 on Saturdays. We open up a little later in the morning, and Sundays we're open 12 to 8. So when we're not around, we are monitoring tickets. So take a look, send an email. If you call us and you don't get an answer, send us an email. Okay, leave us a voicemail, send us an email. Okay, and then due to the pandemic, we may ask you to set up an appointment. If it's a longer session, we may ask you to come in at a certain time so we can take someone off the desk, move you to a different location to help you do something else with an install. And again, call us, reach out to us. Don't suffer in silence. Make sure you understand what your resources are. Make sure you're asking your faculty member if you're not sure. If it's something enterprise related or something with an administrative department, make sure you ask, okay? So I want to move now. We've got about 7 minutes for questions. So if I can ask the OLs, if people in the room have questions, just to type in the questions. I'll read the questions back and answer them for everyone. So, okay, a couple of questions here. Let's see. I'm going to save the first one that I got here. But is it too early to have students log into Microsoft Authenticator? Yes, it is. Okay, we haven't transitioned you over yet. We actually will do a communication. We'll send out an email 7 days before and the day before to let you know what's happening. Because what happens is once we turn you over, depending on what you're trying to log into, you're going to have to go through the process to set it up. So we want to give you sort of fair warning there. So it's too early for Authenticator. And again, we didn't want to do it during the summer when people were not on campus. And we also didn't want to do it during the first 2 weeks of classes. So it'll happen in the third week of classes. So have some patience and we'll get to you. What happens if you forgot their dual password? So if you forgot, and I'm assuming Duo doesn't have a password, but it's your password to get in and it prompts for Duo. different phone, call the help desk. The easiest way to answer that question is just call the help desk. We can help you get connected. We will ask for you to provide some verifiable information so that we can verify that it's you if it's over the phone, but we typically do that right over the phone. We verify that information for them. If you're on financial aid, is there a discounted price for laptops? It's a good question. And what I will tell you is the financial aid office, I think the answer is maybe. But the financial aid office dictates for us who gets those discounts, and they give us names. So if you haven't been, and we did that over the summer. So if you haven't had any outreach from either financial aid or from the help desk about certain discounts for the computers, the answer is no. And if you go out to the website, if you wait, if you're looking to buy a computer, there's been a huge Intel shortage chip. And so normally we have 2 computers available. Given the volume of people that purchased through our vendor, we ended up with one that was sort of a middle price. It was a little higher than the lowest one we offered and a little lower than the highest one. They're getting new stock, and they'll add computers in the next couple of weeks as they come in. So if you're looking and you have a computer and you can hold on for a little bit longer, I recommend waiting for a little bit longer. Do you think in the future the M1 Mac will be supported? So that's a great question. The answer to that question is yes. We're supporting the M1 Mac now. The M1 works in BVA. The challenge is that we have for years supported VMware Fusion, or purchased licensing for VMware Fusion. It's now VMware Fusion 12. VMware Fusion has not come out with a client that will work with the M1 Mac. Okay, so the only solution we have is Parallels, which is the only tool out there that allows us people to put a virtual Windows environment on an M1 Mac, and it works fine and it works perfectly well, but we can't buy licenses for it, so we can't provide it as part of our suite of tools. So the answer is, as soon as VMware Fusion comes up with a solution, and they say they are, we'll push that out there. So if you can wait, and I think if you're a first-year student, and I know there are some transfer students out here, depending on the courses, yeah, we'll support it from but it's more the application and not us. I mean, we're supporting the M1 Macs now. We're doing the updates, managing those updates, telling people when there are issues, those sorts of things. Is my phone okay? Well, yes, my phone is over here. My phone is perfectly fine, but it was this computer that I was showing you that may have suffered a little bit of damage. There's a dent in the front right here. And I think, yeah, there's a little bit of damage, and the screen here is a little cracked. So I've got some damage that I'm going to have repaired. So it's coming off here a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, so I'm assuming it will work. But what I'll do is I'll bring it back to the help desk and I'll have them repair it. One of the things, if you have warranty, they'll fix it for at no cost. If you have accidental damage, you pay for that. They fix it at no cost. But there is a fee if you don't have that damage. And we typically fix most computers, business class computers, Lenovo, Dell, Macs, HPs. It's when you bring in sort of an older device that's a consumer model, like an older Acer, for example. Our group's not going to be able to get parts for that. It's just because they cycle out every 12 to 18 months with parts. So if it's older, they're not even going to be able to fix it. And so they'll tell you right up front, they're not going to take your money and deal with that. So yes, I have a little bit of an issue with that computer that I'll have to fix. So thank you for asking. But I'll use the tools at my disposal. Any other questions? So we have 1 minute left, just sort of to recap, okay? Between now and Tuesday, right? Go out, log into Blackboard. If you don't see your courses, don't panic, that's okay, okay? Go out and make sure you can log into all the resources you're gonna need. Make sure you can still log into Workday. You might wanna do some drop ad. You might wanna look for a different faculty member. Drop ads available for the first week and a day. So that's when you might be searching around, or you might try and fill out your schedule in a different way, to give you some more time in between classes. That's okay too. So make sure you can log into Workday. Make sure your email's working. Make sure your Duo's working. But again, and then if everything's working, then it's just a matter of checking in, making sure that you're keeping on top of your computer. When it says to update it. If you're seeing some funky stuff happening, call us, email us. We'll either walk through it over the phone, or we'll ask you to bring it in. We do have a loaner program, so by and large, we don't run out of loaners. But if you bring it in, whether you bought the computer through Bentley, through Micros Northeast, or you're bringing your own, we still do loaners for students as they need them. We like students to stay connected so they don't have to worry. And also due to the pandemic, you know, there are fewer computers in the library, so fewer publications available. And then last but not least, if you have a question, ask. A question that came up last, give me 30 seconds here. The question that came up last session was, what do I do if I have a problem in the dorm? So if it's physical, it's facilities, okay? If it's technical, email the help desk. We'll get it to the right people. So if your Wi-Fi is not as good as you think it should be, or you think it's kind of spotty, or it's not working in a particular corner of the room, send an email. That gets pushed over to the networks team. They give you a call. They triage a little bit. And they'll check the health of the access point. And if there's a problem with an access point, they'll fix it. They'll get a new one. If it's a problem in the space, they may add another access point. So they're very good at getting that fixed. We did have many of our students using Wi-Fi in the dorms during the pandemic when students couldn't be in person for class. So it should be working fine. If it's not, call us, okay? It shouldn't be okay with you if you can't stream on Netflix and if you're having trouble on Zoom, okay? And so let us know. We can't help you if we don't know. And that's really what we're here for. What's the manual activation code for Duo at Bentley? I don't know the answer to that question. And I don't know where you are on campus. What I would recommend for you, it seems very specific, just reach out to the help desk, helpdesk@bentley.edu. They can probably answer that question in about 30 seconds. All right, so just send an email, they'll respond back in a very short time, helping you get it. If you're having trouble accessing Duo and you have a few minutes after this session, walk over to the help desk. Someone can help you. They're waiting for you. They'll be waiting for you there to get help right then and there. Okay. Any other questions? All right. If not, that's all I have for now. I want to wish you the best of luck. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy all the new friends you're making. And good luck in your classes. Work hard. Thank you.